Are you ready to hear about the best ESL activity to use in class? All right, well, then stay tuned. In my ESL classes, there's one activity that I do every day, and it doesn't matter if the children are in kindergarten class or if they're adults. What I do is called speed dating, and that's basically when you break the class into pairs and you give them a sample conversation or a verb tense that you want them to use, and you have them practice the question, short answer, and positive or negative statement patterns in that group or in that pair. So I really want you guys to use this because I think it's the best way to get a lot out of your classes. I think pair work is probably the most important type of work you can do in class. Some people like to separate their classes into groups or into 3 people or 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, but that's not really that effective. If you think about it, if, for example, if you have a 1-hour class, ideally you'd get 30 minutes of output from the students, and in my speaking classes, that's going to be speaking. In that 30 minutes, the students will need to share the time with at least one other person. In pair work, that means one student will get 15 minutes and the other student will get another 15 minutes, ideally. But the more students you include in that conversation, the more the time becomes diluted and the less time each student gets to speak. So with 2 students, each student ideally should get 15 minutes each. With 3 students, ideally the students should get 10 minutes each. With 4 students, the students should get about 9 minutes and change each. And it gets worse and worse the larger your group gets. Now, there are some places where you really would want to use groups. I've often seen teachers with a classroom that just doesn't have a lot of motivation and has a lot of students who have low self-esteem, and they're just not up to the task of meeting new students and having small talk with them, or they're not up to the task of just having conversation one-on-one with another student because they're so worried about their English ability, or they're so shy, or they're so worried about being embarrassed. In that situation, it's usually very helpful to have a group activity. But if you're teaching these kids every day, you really want to avoid that. You want to make sure that you have a really solid pair work based activity. And for that, I really recommend speed dating. And speed dating is pretty easy to do. I'll give you an example. Let's take one of my lessons. I'm going to explain to you our pattern English present be verb material. I'll provide a link to it down below so you can go ahead and download a sample, so don't worry about that. If you look at this lesson, you'll notice that it's broken down into 4 sections. There's the question pattern, the short answer pattern, the sentence patterns, and the negative sentence pattern. So right there, if you just do some drilling with the children real quickly, you'll be able to effectively teach them in the first 30 minutes of class how to make a be verb sentence, or how to make a be verb question. Are you hungry? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you sleepy? Then you teach them the short answer response. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Immediately break them up into pairs and have the pairs ask each other questions for about 2 minutes each. After 2 minutes, rotate them. Do this about 3 or 4 times. And just then you'll have 10 minutes of output. And again, remember, they're doing pair work. So they're getting the most that they can possibly get out of conversation time in class. If there were any more students, they would be losing a ton of time. If there's any less than 2 students, then they'd just be talking to themselves, and there's really no point to that. Now, after you've done that, teach them the sentence structures. So, I am happy, I am sad, I am hungry. And then teach them the negative statement structures. I am not happy, I am not sad. After you've done that, have them read through some discussion questions with each other and have a real conversation. But make sure this time they're not only responding with the short answer. Make sure they're responding with short answer and sentence grammar. For example, Ben, are you happy? Yes, I am. I am happy. Ben, are you hungry? No, I'm not. I'm not hungry. In this way, You can cycle through the entire class, and you can really cycle through a lot of different patterns. That's one of the main problems I see with teachers. They have a class. They have students of varying levels and varying skills. And sometimes they really don't know what to do with the students to not only get them motivated about English, but to really give them some meaningful way to learn English in class. So I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes we'll do something as goofy as using bingo or word puzzles or, crossword puzzles even. These different activities and worksheet-based resources that we imagine really get our students to think about what we're teaching them. But that's not really a good solution if you want your kids to speak. Not only that, where do you go from there? If you're using resources like that in class during valuable class time, the only time that they'll be able to practice English in front of a native speaker or practice English in front of an English teacher, because surely they can't do it at home, then you're really going to miss out on a really golden opportunity. And to make the best use of your class time, I really recommend speed dating. It's actually the backbone of all of our classes. We do that every single day. So the other activities that we recommend, the other activities that we do are either a variant of speed dating or a variant of pair work speed dating, or are just an addendum to those activities in case we're looking to spice up the class for a particular day. In any case, I really recommend that you guys try this out. It's definitely the best way to make use of class time, and I think it's one of the best ways to build a pattern with your classes. Getting them used to an activity like that every day really builds a great routine for them. Again, if you want to practice this, you can download our resource below. If you're listening to this in our blog post, then go ahead and just scroll through our blog post to download it. All right, guys. Well, I will catch you next time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, special favors to request, go ahead and leave a comment below or email me at steve@houndsteveenglish.com. And if you would like to stay in touch with us and keep looking at these wonderful videos, click subscribe. All right, guys. Catch you later.